everyone. I'd like to call the February 26, 2025 Economic Development Subcommittee to order. Meeting to order. The meeting is held in the Municipal Building, Council Chamber, second floor, 355 East Central Street. Note to residents, all citizens are welcome to attend public meetings in person. To view the live meeting remotely, citizens are encouraged to watch the live stream on the Franklin Town Hall TV YouTube channel or the live broadcast on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29. Meetings are also archived by Franklin TV on the Franklin Town Hall TV YouTube channel and shown on repeat on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29. For those who missed the live meeting, to listen to the meeting remotely, citizens may call in using this number 1-929-205-6099. This will not permit participation in the meeting. To participate in the meeting remotely, citizens are able to join a Zoom webinar using the information provided on the Economic Development Committee meeting agenda. Any participants who wish to speak during the webinar must enter a full name and email address when joining the webinar. All participants will be automatically muted upon joining the webinar. In order to speak, participants who have entered full name and email address will need to select the raise hand function to request to be unmuted. All speakers will be required to state their full name and street address before commenting. Tonight we have two items on our agenda. The first item, what?
Yep.
Okay, all right, I got this nod, I guess, is a shared kitchens bylaw. And we have Gus and Kathy Liberty here tonight. So do you want to start it off, Jamie?
Really quickly, Madam Chair. So just for the overview really quickly, this is a town council goal for the year. This is the easiest and quickest of the two tonight. I just want to make sure we're clear. This is just adding a definition of shared use commercial kitchen to our town code. And it is adding this use as a principal use to the use table. This is only in our commercial districts. And I will read the definition for the record. Shared use commercial kitchen, a commercially licensed space primarily for preparing, cooking, and producing food for off-premises consumption for use by chefs, bakers, caterers, food trucks, and other culinary professionals. In addition to providing shared kitchen space, commissary kitchens may provide additional services like culinary education and incubator programs, demonstration spaces, and business development support. The quick nexus, I don't need to explain this to you, Madam Chair, but for the record, really what we're doing here is allowing folks who may already have a kitchen to be able to maybe sublet that kitchen over hours, which kind of maximizes their revenue potential, but also allows for, in our mixed business innovation district or commercial districts, a business could be set up that would allow multiple preparation centers for food inspection. And I asked the building commissioner and the board of health director to come tonight to answer any questions you may have, because they're the folks that are going to have to enforce this. And obviously Kathy Liberty, our public health director, would be dealing with this in terms of the food preparation. So this is a very, very narrow and limited change. This is not a major structural overhaul. It's just simply adding that use, that one use to our code. Thank you very much.
Okay, hold on a second.
Yep.
So the Zoom hasn't started yet. So there are people that are trying to get in, I think, or it doesn't look like.
It's recording. It would have to be through the Franklin TV.
We're on, okay. So I think it's somebody for the other thing. I know there's somebody that was trying to zoom into this for this as well. But, okay, so this is great. This is this is a portion of the shared kitchen, home occupation thing that that economic development that we're trying to start with. So I really thank you guys for doing this. And I know we've been talking about it for a long time, and we finally have a chance to do it. So thank you for taking all your time to put this together for us. There's two additions, right? Gus, do you want to talk about there's actually two parts to this, right? There's the definition and then there's the use table. Is there anything you want to add?
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, it's something that Brian DeBerner and Amy.
Can we just pause 1 sec? Are we sure we're on the right link? Or the one from the, because I just tried to get on, it says the host is in another meeting.
We should be, I can log out and log back in if we don't think it's recorded.
Maybe take a quick brief recess.
All right, let's
We'll
take a
recalibrate.
5-minute recess.
Apologies, yeah.
Should be good.
Is it okay?
Yeah,
I
it
think
worked for
you're
me,
on.
it worked.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're
I'm
on.
waiting for somebody to tell me that it's okay.
Yeah, we were just on the wrong link.
Oh, okay. All right, we were on the wrong link. I apologize to everybody.
Do you want to start over?
You want me to start from the beginning?
Yeah, why don't we start from the beginning?
Okay, I'll start from the beginning. Good evening, everyone. Time being 5:50, I would like to call the Economic Development Subcommittee meeting for February 25th, 2025 to order. Notice to residents, all citizens are welcome to attend public meetings in person. To view the live meeting remotely, citizens are encouraged to watch the live stream on Franklin Town Hall TV YouTube channel or the live broadcast on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29. Meetings are also archived by Franklin TV on Franklin Town Hall TV YouTube channel and shown on repeat on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29 for those who missed the live meeting. To listen to the meeting remotely, citizens may call in using the number 1-929-205-6099. This will not permit participation in the meeting. To participate in the meeting remotely, citizens are able to join a Zoom webinar using the information provided on the Economic Development Subcommittee agenda. Any participants who wish to speak during the webinar must enter their full name and email address when joining the webinar. All participants will be automatically muted upon joining the webinar. In order to speak, participants who have entered full name and email address will need to select the raise hand function to request to be unmuted. All speakers will be required to state their full name and street address before commenting. Tonight we have 2 agenda items. The first is Share Kitchen bylaw, and I'm going to throw it over to Jamie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just want for the folks watching at home or folks streaming, this is a very narrow change in our bylaws. This is just adding one additional use. This was a goal for the town council in the 24-25 legislative session. It is adding a definition as well as a use to the use table for shared use commercial kitchens, which would be defined as a commercially licensed space primarily for preparing, cooking, and producing food for off-premises consumption for use by chefs, bakers, caterers, food trucks, and other culinary professionals. In addition to providing shared kitchen space, commissary kitchens may also provide additional services like public education, culinary education, incubator programs, demonstration spaces, and business development support. I think for the folks that may not know what all that means, ultimately what you have is an opportunity here. This is only being addressed in our commercial district, C1, 2, downtown commercial, business, industrial, mixed business, innovation, and office. It is not in any residential districts being proposed. And really what it's designed to do is allow businesses to set up an incubation space where they may be able to lease out to food preparation folks, culinary chefs, people that don't maybe have the means to have a full rented space to produce a delicious type of bread or candy or a variety of other goods that they may be able to sell then to other retail organizations. Many, many cities and towns have this. This is something that typically in a community our size, particularly in the industrial parks, this may be very advantageous. We also think this may be helpful down at the old Clark Cutler facility, some of those spaces where you can kind of get that kind of historic vibe and some of that vintage feel where we can allow entrepreneurs the opportunity to come together different hours of the day, overnight, wee hours of the morning. Bread bakers particularly are over when we're all asleep. And it would allow those to occur. And the building commissioner and the public health director are here tonight because they're the folks that need to enforce this. So if anybody has any questions, they're here to answer them for everybody. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you both for being here tonight. I know this is something we've talked about multiple times, and I really appreciate the work that you've done and the fact that it's part of, of what we've been working on. But this makes, like, for me, being able to have a shared kitchen space in the like mixed business innovation zone is really one of the things that I really wanted in there when we created that zone in the first place. So I'm really excited to have that. It also helps people to share their spaces with other people, and just to have a definition in there makes it everybody say, okay, we can do it. So so I just want to thank you for working on this. I think Councilor Sheridan has a question.
Yeah, so like, for example, like the bread baking. Like right now, if one of the restaurants downtown wanted to say, you can use my kitchen overnight to bake bread, you can do that. They can't do that now.
No, you can.
Okay,
With the permission from the health department.
okay,
We actually have that. We have a shared kitchen right now. Which the Board of Health approved. Yeah, so it is being done. This is, I think, more of a commercial, a larger scale.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay. Great.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to add to what's on here, Gus or
Sure, I
Kathy?
do. Through you, Gus Brown, Building Commissioner, through you, Madam Chair. I think it's something that's been in the works for a long time. We've talked this to almost to death, and I think we're at the point where we've got something that really works. Just to add a couple more things about the zones that it is in right now, it doesn't include some of the residential zones, and what we felt moving forward that it would be very cumbersome for a homeowner. First off, they would have to put a grease trap in on their residential home if they were on town sewer. The second thing is, processing is really not allowed in a residential zone, and they may have to go to ZBA. And I know it sounds like a lot, and I know some homeowners would like to do things like this at home, but this is a step in the right direction for us as a town, I believe, and we hope that people flock to this. I don't see any problems with it. I see it as being a good thing, and like Jamie alluded to, Clark Cutler may be a perfect place for it, and also the mill store possibly that was recently bought by the same individual that owns Clark Cutler. I'm sorry, I can't think of the name of it, something square. What Clark Cutler changed to. What's the name of that place now?
Oh,
Factory Square.
Factory Square.
Thank you, Amy.
Yes.
We both had,
We're all like
I was
going,
like staring at you like, oh my God, what?
Old
It just
names,
didn't-
old names never die, I guess, so.
Right. I mean, I like to think this is a step, right, into what we're, to the next step. But it's all good.
I think it's a very inexpensive way to get somebody off the ground.
Well said.
Kathy, do you have anything?
You
Since,
took the words right out of my mouth.
okay.
No, I think it's great, through the Madam Chair. I think this is great. And we do get a lot of inquiries for people who just want to start up,
Mhm.
And literally, we just had someone who wants to bake bread. And in the past, we've had someone who just wants to make candy.
Right,
And all these, you know, this is great, and I'm glad they want to do it, but most of the time we end up disappointing them because there's, you know, the grease trap and all the other things.
Right.
So I think this eliminates a lot for the smaller startup
right.
businesses, so. I think it's
So I know that there's been some, I've had some communications with some of the pastors and ministers in the town that would share their kitchen as well. Is that, this is just zone specific? Because they have commercial kitchens, right? So I guess it's, if you're in these zones, then it's okay, but if you're not in the zone, then.
Can speak
That's a good step.
through
Yeah.
you, Madam Chair, that's exactly right. Some of those places that you just spoke about are in residential zones. That would probably require a variance
Right,
from the
okay,
zoning board.
okay. But it's
We
still,
would take it as an individual look-see too as well, and I would make the decision,
okay,
the ultimate decision on
Right.
that.
And I think the health department would look at the equipment and make sure that everything would be up to code and not old and, you know,
right,
not,
right, so,
not in good working condition.
yeah, something that hasn't been updated in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's great, that's good. Does anybody have any other questions for Counselor Chandler?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah,
Hi Kathleen, hi Gus. You guys look great.
Thank you.
I'm glad hopefully your health is doing better than me. I really mean that. Tough day today. Quick question. So you talked about different hours and stuff. How do we know who's using it at the time if something went wrong with some of the food? Not just a sign-in, but are they people giving you their licenses? How does that work?
So we would give them a permit to operate, and we would obviously ask the hours and the type
Yeah.
of food that they're making as well, just in case there was a foodborne illness outbreak.
That's what I was,
Right.
yeah.
Similar to a temporary food permit, you know, we ask minimal questions, but enough just to, you know, make sure we have some oversight.
Right, because I saw like food trucks. I don't know if people are just going to be running in and out, doing a quick 30-minute thing, or,
I don't think so. I
Yeah.
think it'd be more hours than that.
okay.
I really do. I think it's not gonna be just baking bread. I see caterers doing this, as well. Someone who just doesn't have the space and wants to do the job,
Okay.
yeah. But
Again.
that's something that we'll consider, what time, and, you know.
Yeah, like, I didn't know if
Are
it
you
was
gonna
like
be
2, yeah,
operating, right?
yeah. So,
That's something to
okay,
consider.
just my concerns, and thank you for everything you do. We appreciate you. You're welcome. Thank you, Madam Chair.
thank you, Counselor Chandler. Counselor Frangillo, any?
No, really excited by this. Well done. This was easy. Big win.
Does anyone from the audience have any comments? Is there anyone online? I don't think there's anyone online that has any comments. What?
Just one.
Jamie's like, puts his hand up like, yes, no, I don't think there's any, there's no question. Jamie has a question. No. All right, so I think this is pretty simple. I think we should just vote to move this on. Jamie, do we need 2 votes, or can we do this both changes at once?
You can do both changes at once.
Okay, so I'd accept a motion to move both of these additions to the zoning bylaws to the town council for discussion.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. Woo-hoo! All right, let us move on. The next item on the agenda is a renaming of Commercial 1 zoning district, Union Street, Cottage Street area only, to the Crossing Neighborhood District. And, oh, Jamie just put his finger up again. Like, wait a second.
Just a quick intro. Yep.
Jamie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So on the screen up here is the map to show what we're doing. This again is another goal that the town council has had for a couple sessions now, but I believe it's also, it's been on the goal session, I think, for a couple years. What we're doing here is making very, very minimal changes to the C1 district. We came up with this idea some years ago, recognizing the amazing opportunities in kind of organic growth in what we call the Crossing neighborhood area, which is down off of Union Street right here on the map. I think most people in Franklin are aware of it. What we're proposing here is to go through, there are 6 different bylaws affiliated with this, but the committee can vote all as one. When you get to the council, you're gonna have to refer them all individually. But really what we're doing here is changing the zoning district title in the code away from the boring C1, which is all zoning speak, to the Crossing Neighborhood District, which gives a much more, I think, warm feel. It'll also have a huge impact for our wayfinding signs at some point, where when you get off the highway driving through town, here's the crossing, the crossing, the crossing, the crossing. And so what we've done here is, Brian, we're very grateful, and Amy for all their hard work. We've gone through a lot of work to do this. But up you can see on the map, it's pretty much the same district. There's just a couple of proposed tweaks on the parcels. If you look up on the northern side towards Sugar Beet in East Street, you'll notice on the left-hand side the current zoning, and on the right-hand side, there's a handful of parcels that we're proposing to put into the Crossing District, mainly because of the intersection that's there, and the uniqueness at the Arlington, Washington, Union intersection near the pizza shop, which is kind of like a 5 ways almost intersection. So making that now all available into the Crossing Neighborhood District. And I think as everybody here knows, you know, with the addition of the potential at the Mill Store, redevelopment, the hopeful eventual acquisition of the Snet Trail, which will be the trailhead for a, what Kobe would know better than me, but like a 90-mile trail into Connecticut, contiguous trailhead. And then also La Cantina, Acapulco's, and some of the older restaurants that have been down there for a long time. We feel this is a really, really great marketing opportunity that in our code and culturally and throughout the community, it kind of helps separate it too from quote-unquote downtown. You've got downtown, you've got the triangle area, but you also have the crossing. We all know they're a half a mile or a mile away from each other, but a lot of times people, I think in my 10 years here, they go downtown Franklin and they sometimes think this, but that. This gives it a little bit of definition. And so really the big changes here, just so we're clear, we're not proposing any change in setback or lot size requirements. And the reason why we're not proposing that at this time is just because the staff, and I think others that we've spoken to, namely Gino Carlucci and others, and kind of vetting this concept out, we're trying to get this on the books. Of course, you have to send this through the planning board. It has to have multiple public hearings, come back to the council, and maybe through this process, you know, we will get feedback possibly from constituents or property owners in that neighborhood as to maybe other comments that they may have. As Councilor Hamlin knows, we always, and she just said it with the shared commercial kitchen, we try to take steps forward. We don't always have to go for the big Hail Mary pass, but I think through this process, we will engage those residents at those hearings and maybe be able to get some additional feedback on how they see either the zoning lot lines or maybe even some of the other dimensional requirements within it. But we're starting easy and simple, and that's the goal here, is just to kind of create a new neighborhood feel by designating it away from Commercial 1 to the Crossing Neighborhood District. So that's it in a nutshell, Madam Chair, and obviously Amy Love, our town planner, and Gus Brown are both here to help answer any questions folks may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Amy or Gus, do you have anything you'd like to start with?
Sure, I would, through you, Madam Chair. I think this is a great opportunity to change what the complexion of that place looks like down there. The Murray family that owned the Mill Store for many years really stepped up to the plate with getting it into other hands. I want to do a huge shout out to them for what they did, and also to Rick Kaplan for buying the Mill Store, and he's got big plans for it. I also think that the other properties in the neighborhood will go through a change as well, because it just may bring this whole neighborhood together. There's many multifamilies in the area. It may be some that people want to tear down as well, and I know that some of the changes that we want to make with zoning later, will happen later on as far as the density is concerned, which will also benefit the area.
Thank you. Amy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Gus kind of filled everybody in on where we stand with this. Just a quick note, it is the Crossing Neighborhood District, so that's what we came up with, calling it CN. And kind of as Gus said, would be a big improvement for that area to have this opportunity to identify this part of town. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. The memorandum states something about making it a walkable area, and that, I love that. To me, I'm not too sure, like, how we do that without changing some of these things. But I know, like, some of the setbacks, but I haven't really thought about it too much, but I was just wondering, like, why don't we change any of the setbacks to be, like, closer to downtown commercial, say? Like, why did you decide not to do that?
Through you, Madam Chair, I believe those changes will more than likely come in the future. There's some other things that we have to look at as well, as far as that's concerned. I think that we wanted to get this on the books and get the feel of everyone as to the changes we're going to make with the name and so forth and so on. But I believe that will happen.
So
And
that,
we will try to mimic the downtown as much as we can. Some of it's a little bit more restrictive right now, because the buildings aren't as close together, and we don't want to alarm neighbors just yet as to the density. We want to get their input as well, to make sure that everybody's on board within the neighborhood.
okay, so it's just added, so if we look at the map, we've added a little bit to the C1 section, the C1 down in that area, and we've called it the crossing neighborhood.
That's
Right.
correct. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a few more C1.
We
or
do.
like-
The old Ferraris Market, I believe was in residential 4, that got changed to the new name as well. And there's also a commercial building across the street from Ferraris Market that was in the residential 4 zone as well. And that will now be in the new name district.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Do we see those?
And also, I think a little bit.
This one? You mean?
It's where Aromas is there.
It's the old Ferrers.
It's
Can you
actually,
give us the new name?
it's Andros
Got it.
Oh, Andros Pizza.
Now,
Oh,
actually,
that's on
Something
Washington
else now.
Street.
it's Pizza Way
Yeah.
now.
Pizza Way, right, that's, right, so those have been added,
That's the old
and some
Ferrers.
up here.
And also going north on Union Street, up towards the Carter Street area, there was a couple that were added there as well.
Right, and I see those.
Before your time.
Okay. I know, I was like going, wait a minute, there's that down on Central Street.
If I could
Oh,
just
I
add
Andros.
one more thing,
Oh,
I
it's-
think
go ahead, Gus.
if this net trail situation goes through, that'll be a huge boost for the area as well.
Right. It's gonna go through. Thank you for that. Amy, do you have any other comments?
No, I don't. Thank
Okay.
you, Madam Chair.
Council Frangillo?
If I may.
Yes, you may.
Okay. Going to start off my comments by being very clear. I will be abstaining from this vote. My father owns a property within this area. It's one of the 2 warehouses in an otherwise, small commercial district. I won't be voting on these measures, but this is my biggest passion in my time in council, is rezoning the town and seeing opportunities for changing the underlying rules that impact the way that the town is able to grow and feel and welcome new development that's positive and vibrant for the town and recognizes the historic nature of the town. So I really would be remiss if I did not at least provide some comments here. I'll make it very clear, everything that's done does move things forward, it just barely moves things forward. And I think that that's my biggest source of frustration. We could talk about this being the start of something, and that we'll revisit it at a later time. I'm uninspired by that, because this is the very opportunity to come in and say, hey, we're looking at this area, which is a very small area, and we can talk about a shared vision for what it should be. And that's, I think, what the goal is. I don't think the goal was simply to name an area the crossing. I think the goal was actually to revisit the crossing and zone it in a way that makes it walkable and vibrant and welcoming of new commercial spaces. It's one thing to say that, it's another thing to actually change it. I have 6 things that I wanted to point out. I started by just going through and saying, well, okay, the easiest way to determine if zoning is aligned with the vision of the area is to simply look at the area and say, well, could these current buildings be built today in the proposed zoning? And I started to count, because I had a feeling that a lot of them wouldn't be able to be built in the proposed zoning. And I started to count, and I was going to come in with a count. I lost track. It is almost every parcel couldn't be built today in the zoning that we're proposing. The whole point of us recognizing this area as something special is because it feels different. Now, you know, you could say that you don't understand why it feels different, but it feels different for specific reasons. They are small design problems that change the way that a neighborhood feels. Why does the crossing feel different than even the areas directly next to it? Because they're smaller lots. The buildings are up to the sidewalk as opposed to set further back. They're closer to each other as opposed to these large setbacks on the side. They don't all require their own on-site parking. They welcome multiple building types in a small area. So the fact that we're coming in and relabeling it does actually nothing to welcome new development in line with the historic development patterns. Never mind, build upon those historic development patterns to welcome actual incremental growth. Our goal is not to brand this area better, but rather to welcome new growth that supports the town finances without further exacerbating town service costs. So I tried to be very specific and held back in what I was listing out as my 6 major requests to the zoning changes as proposed, or really the lack of zoning changes as currently proposed. In no particular order, parking minimums. I'm happy that we are maintaining the C1 parking minimums. I think it would be most appropriate to have the downtown commercial parking minimums at worst. I mean, I really think that parking minimums are an outdated, universally agreed upon measure of some olden time that is no longer necessary. If people feel like they can create a productive space without requiring their own on-site parking, we should let them do so and not mandate space be used for empty parking. And if they think they need parking, great, let them build as much parking as they want. But I think we should be reducing the minimums. I certainly think we should be reducing the minimums for commercial. Again, look at all of your favorite buildings in this stretch. Most of them have no on-site commercial. If it is, it's less than the minimum parking minimums. If it is, it's less than the minimum. Okay, so that was number 1. Number 2, minimum lot size. Here's one that we haven't touched anywhere in town, but I think is a really easy one to see how we can welcome more incremental growth. If you want smaller units that are available at different price points, and you want to welcome small growth that doesn't radically change, then we need to go away from a policy that forces you to gobble together a bunch of big parcels, spend a ton of money, and create one new monstrosity. Most of the parcels here, if you look at them, are really, really small parcels. That's beautiful. Some of those parcels are some of our most productive financially parcels. They take up very little space, but they give a lot back to the town. Multiple of these parcels are under 5,000. We shouldn't be forcing. Yes, you can be grandfathered in, but we should be welcoming more types like this. And so I would advocate for the reduction of parcel size. Again, I'm going to keep saying my father does own a parcel here, a property here. I've asked him to come on his own. I don't know his thoughts on any of this. None of these affect his property at all, but I should be as transparent as possible. And again, I will be abstaining from my vote. Okay, that was 2, parking minimums and minimum lot size. Number 3, the residential pieces. So not only did we reduce did we go to the C1 requirements instead of the downtown requirements, but we've said that for residential, you actually have to adhere to the GR5 requirements. So that's even further restrictions on what can be built. So all those small little homes that are in that area, those multifamily homes that are close by to each other, which welcome some of our most income diverse friends and certainly makes it a walkable space that creates a vibrant commercial opportunity. Those types of properties that we know and love, and the reason why we're even focusing this at all, couldn't be built. And so I would vote that the residential adhere to the same requirements and that they don't be subject to the GR5 requirements. That was 3. 4, minimum yard. Again, this is setbacks. This is how far away does it have to be from the edges of the parcel. Almost all of the properties in this area fail the current standards that we're going. When we talk about walkability, the most important thing about walkability is having buildings that are close together because it's easy to walk from one place to the next. And certainly to have places up to the sidewalk as opposed to set back, because all of that changes the way, it changes your willingness to walk in, because all of that means that you have to walk further, and it doesn't create this enclosed space that forces cars to slow down and makes you feel like you're in a tight commercial area. I think that we should match the downtown commercial minimum yards at the very least. At the very least, I think that we should reduce the 20-foot front setback to 5-foot front setback. Many of the parcels along Union Street have a 0-foot setback. That's what creates the environment and the field that it is. For us to be saying, actually, any new buildings have to be 20, you're going to entirely disrupt the feel and take away what makes it special. And really, you're just going to have buildings that aren't built, because these are small lots. If you force them to put it 20 feet from any side, you're just not going to get new change. And again, then all we've done is slapped a new label on something, but we haven't actually produced new growth for town. That was 4. So minimum yard was 4. 5, it's a small one, but we're talking about opportunities for incremental growth, small residential areas, or small residential units that make it easy for you to afford to live in Franklin at a different price point. One of those is accessory dwelling units. Accessory dwelling units will be hard to build in this area because they have to adhere to all the setback sizes. Fine. Let's at least allow them to be built by right, which we currently don't do. On the few parcels that there could be something, allow people to add a second unit and have it be in line with our vision for incremental growth. So that was 5, was accessory dwelling units. And the 6th one, it might be a smaller one. I'm most passionate about the first 5, so I'll catch my breath on the last one. It does seem, I'm glad that we took in apparently the old Ferraras, what I know as Andrews or the Pizza Way, and the commercial space across the way. I do think that it makes sense for those parcels. I think sometimes we look at what parcels are there and then say, well, here's what we want to grow, based on there. But really, zoning is not coming in and us saying, you have to change your property in any way. It's us saying, when it comes time to change your property, whatever whenever that is, that might be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, we want to set the rules for how that level of development looks. And so the only tweaks I would make to this, I'm glad that we're narrowly tailoring it to this area. I'm glad that we're taking that part of the corner. I would just make it consistent and take the other part of the corner, the corner of Arlington and Union, and Arlington and Washington. Because, you know, those corners and having corner markets and corner retail areas is what actually starts to make the place feel like a defined area and kind of blocks off the residential from and transitions it into a more mixed-use space. So I would just add in those few parcels on the other side for consistency and really in line with the vision. Again, doesn't change anything that they do with those property. They are currently homes, but if they were to go forward and were motivated enough to turn them into a retail or mixed-use area, I think we would want to encourage that on that corner. Okay, those are my 6 things. Happy to continue to participate in this dialogue. I want to make sure that what we put forth actually meets what we were intending when I was part of wanting this to be one of the goals. But again, my father owns a property in this area. I will not be voting on the final decision from EDC or any of the future votes from here. Appreciate you all letting me share my piece, and happy to keep talking a little. Yeah, if you have thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Kobe. Gus?
Through you, Madam Chair. Mr. Councilor Frangillo, I couldn't agree with you more on the fact that we have to follow residential 5 when building in commercial 1, and that needs to change as well. Also, as most developers know, if they don't get any closer to a lot line with a new building, I issue the building permit.
That's true, and that's in our zone. But still, we want to welcome future to match the historic.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I think the downtown commercial is a good thing to emulate. Councilor Chandler, are you done, Kobe?
Yeah,
For now?
with those
Okay.
thoughts, yeah.
Councilor Chandler?
Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. That was some good points, because I'm just going to touch on quickly what you said, because that corner, where whatever you want to call it, Andros is, and across the street, that building you were referring, I think it's like 12 Washington or something like that, that white building. And you have the house on the corner, and then right across, across Rivers, you have another, it's almost like a 4-family, but you could, there's so much room there. There's so much room there. So you're saying those are not gonna be involved in that zoning, that other side? Like, even on Arlington Street,
On
the
Arlington
opposite
Street, the
side?
first 2 lots will
Yeah.
be.
Oh, they will be, okay, thank
They
you.
will. I believe for our zone, that
Well,
large
that
parcel.
that was my other thing. I mean, I hate to say this, we're gonna run into the same thing we run downtown. It's the same few families that own, I mean, it's gonna be something we're gonna have to, hopefully, it doesn't happen like downtown. Because I think it's set up that way. Nothing is gonna change right there. I think by who owns it, who wants to do what with it. But I think as long as some of those other houses are involved, maybe eventually those could be worth more. So I agree with Councilor Frangillo, that's my point that I wanted to make, that little 5-way intersect, that will be a big deal. That'll be just as big as the mill thing eventually, if you wanted to add to that.
Sure. Through you, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Councilor Chandler, I believe that if this area starts to improve as far as the density is concerned, I think people will jump on board. They'll start to see their homes being improved around them, and property values go up when that happens, and I think it will have a saturation effect with the area.
If we let them actually build anything new.
Jamie?
Through you, Madam Chair, just a couple quick points. Number one, in the zoning bylaw proposal, we did propose to reduce the residential parking requirement from 1.5 to 1, so that does actually mirror downtown commercial. You know, we would not be opposed if the committee wanted to eliminate the 500 square foot requirement for commercial industrial. The difference in why we didn't do that is because there's no public parking down there. You know, the big difference with downtown commercial is there's really tons of street parking. There's the Depot Street lot, the Ferrara lot, there's just there is almost too much, there's so much parking in the downtown Triangle area that we were able to say that, plus MBTA Communities drove us to do that, and we were more than happy to make that change. This area, though, has much more challenging parking situations than the Triangle area. I just wanted to point that out. And number two, the only thing, I always enjoy hearing Councilor Frangillo's passion around these things. The one thing I would differ on him is, we have actually done nothing, and that area is growing with opportunity, actually, I would say and argue more than the Triangle. With the Snet Trail, the Mill Store, the Children's Museum, La Cantina, Acapulco's 4 or 5 years ago, a couple of other spots popping up. That neighborhood has really, I think, on its own, without any changes at all. So the one area I would disagree with Councilor Frangillo is, without doing anything, actually that neighborhood is on the brink of booming into a really great cultural center, and probably would be expanded through our cultural district at some point. I'm not going to debate, it's not really my place to opine about the setbacks and things. If the committee wants to make those changes, we can also meet about this again, as an EDC. We can meet about this for as many meetings as you like, to evaluate the setbacks and some of the lot sizes and the minimum yard and some of the other details. That's not, that's nothing we're against. The goal for the council this year was, I will admit it's a little vague, but I think the intent was about the title and the marketing piece, review and approve the Franklin Crossing Neighborhood Zoning District. I thought it was more about really the title and trying to get that neighborhood feel first. And the only other thing I would close off by saying is, as you look at the list of abutters, there's a lot of people that are in this district, and there's a lot of folks. I think when the abutter notifications go out for the planning board and the council hearings, maybe we do get feedback offline and online from residents about some of the issues that Councilor Frangillo pointed out, but also maybe some other ideas as well. And so if the committee does want to talk about those other issues, we're happy to have that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Councilor Sheridan? No?
Can I just finish up with one last question? for the
absolutely.
people?
Councilor Chandler?
Through you to Amy. Hey, Amy.
Hi.
Gonna get you out of here so you can go have dinner with your family. You deserve it. 18528 and 18529, the sidewalks and curbing. I mean, everyone here knows that I'm a big concrete. I think it always looks better. And I still think we made a mistake on Pleasant Street by not doing that a while back. But now it says required. Now you as the planning board, could they give a waiver where it wouldn't have to be concrete, the curbing, and, or is it always gonna have, if we approve that when it goes to the council, is that set in concrete?
The planning board does typically grant waivers on material for sidewalks. More so, they really only come to us for subdivisions. If these sidewalks already exist and they're town-owned, they actually go directly through DPW to do any improvement. So
Okay.
we mainly only deal with the sidewalks when new subdivisions come in. And that's under the subdivision control bylaw, section 300. So if these are town-owned, they would go through DPW on the materials.
Okay, so we keep using Andros as an example. Say they put a nice new building in there or whatever, and of course they have to have a sidewalk in front. Technically, they could, everything else could be concrete and that could be asphalt?
It'd be determined by DPW,
That would, okay, that's what I just think.
yeah.
So I'd have to talk to them. All right, thank you for that information, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Chandler. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak? Okay, you could please come to the microphone, state your name and address.
Sure. Steve Sherlock, 13 Magnolia Drive, Franklin Matters, Franklin Public Radio. Just a question in terms of, since the abutter term was referenced, particularly when, it's my understanding, if a new development, the developer has that control, when something like this is going, the planning board, the town, I'm assuming, does those notification. Who keeps track of, we had, call it 100 abutters to be notified, 100 actually got notified, we heard from 14, 15, whatever. Is that kind of tracking done at that level? Just process question for information's sake.
Thank you, Steve. Amy?
Through you, Madam Chair. Butter notices go out through regular mail. As far as tracking, it's those who you pretty much get to read them in the meeting minutes from the public hearings. So the meeting minutes will have every person who got up to speak, their name and their address, and an overview of what they said. So it's through the meeting minutes and that all that information is tracked.
So when you send out the abutter notifications, that's you actually mention that in the meeting? Is that what you mean, Steve? You want to know if people actually receive the abutter notification?
Yeah, they sent certified mail, postal
Yeah.
receipt, or did they just send out 100 and hopefully all 100 got them, hopefully read them, as opposed to discarding them? Especially since we're doing zoning changes, clearly in their area, they should be aware. That's one of the things we like to focus on, but I just wanted to understand the process from the inside. Who tracks that, if anybody tracks that?
Well, through you, Madam Chair, I mean,
Go
usually
ahead, Jamie.
usually let's go through this example. I think traditionally, the notifications will go, I think, for the planning board hearing first, right? And so what's likely to happen is some people may come to the public hearing, but Brian, in this case, I think for a lot of zoning would say, if most people are gonna call Brian or Amy probably on the phone, what is this about? What are you trying to do? And there may be some very basic questions. I think in the past, we haven't had a bylaw where there's been this many abutters in some time. Brian traditionally, I think, reports like, oh, I got 3 phone calls from 3 residents. I'm thinking back to the downtown one maybe 7 or 8 years ago where there was like 10 comments that he had with meetings that maybe Amy and Brian had and Gus down in the office, and he maybe summarized those, at the legislative process. So, I think Amy will do that same thing this time. If we get calls outside of the public hearing, I think we'll just report that, whatever it might be. But I think mostly people ask basic questions usually, like what's going on, why did I get a notice? It's usually not, tremendously detailed input. Those folks usually come to the meetings, I think, or maybe contact, folks outside of the public hearing.
Thank you, Jamie. Does that answer your question? Okay. Hi.
Mark Minichelli, 31 Longfellow Drive. I happen to also be the co-chair of our Ben for Franklin housing group here in Franklin. I just want to reinforce some of the points that Councilor Frangillo made. Even though the goal for the team for this year may have been more focused on marketing and renaming, I think Kobe's point was around speed. Oftentimes we think of government actions as taking so long, and is here an opportunity to try to do more than the minimum requirement to hit the goal and try to do something that's gets to where we want to get to faster than we would otherwise do it with a 2-step or multi-step process. So I would be fully supportive of trying to look at the zoning changes as well as the renaming. I think Kobe brings an excellent point. If we really like the way that area feels as we walk through it, why would we impose zoning restrictions that would encourage change to that, away from those small lots close to the street? I also think that the point about ADUs is a really solid one as well. We should be encouraging, it's not a mandate, of course, but if somebody has an idea of how they can build an ADU, why not allow one additional housing unit to be built that wouldn't otherwise not be able to be built here in the town of Franklin? So, and I'm really glad to hear about the parking minimums being changed. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Is there anyone else? Any other comments? Anyone online? Is that just you? Is that just us?
I think it's
Online?
Rich.
Is it Rich?
Oh, there he is.
Somebody hands up here.
We see your hand up. I think we'll unmute you. Yeah, I can't really read it. Rich.
Good evening, folks. My name's Rich Frangillo. and I appreciate this discussion. I wouldn't have heard about it if I didn't know someone in town. So I completely agree with what Kobe said in terms of an opportunity. I am excited about what's literally coming down the road. I've got a spot on Carter Street. My concern, I hope it's not premature, there's public hearings and I'll maybe need to go to one, but what I'm concerned about is the challenges that I might face, because I've got a building that is both a sports center, but also, forgive me, I don't know the term, but a light industrial something that that tenant is not going to stay there forever. And so when that tenant moves, I'd like to know that I could invite people into that space and not be restricted. I could imagine someday there might be a plumber, an electrician, or someone who would want to take a space on the backside of that building. That's my sort of concern, is that my property opportunity diminishes with this. Seems to me it doesn't change it much from commercial as it is now, but that is my concern. That's what I'm listening for as you guys decide where to go. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rich. So would that, do we have that in the use, changes in the use table? I
Where
mean,
it's-
this is still light industrial is okay,
Sure.
right?
Through you, Madam Chair, where it is a commercial zone, each individual tenant, so to speak, as to what Rich brought up, would be looked at by me, and if it wasn't the high end of the manufacturing process, it would probably be allowed. It would be a case-by-case basis, though. And he already has that use in that building now,
Right.
so we're not going to take it away from him, depending on what it is. If it was something that was a heavy industrial use, it might be a different story.
Yeah, I feel like his concern is that if we change the zoning there, then we will reduce the amount of uses that are allowed. Right, and that's a concern that people are gonna have. And so-
Legitimate, and our concern is to not restrict people,
Right.
to make it any more restrictive than it is now.
So open it up a little bit. Amy?
Yes, if you don't mind,
Mhm.
the Madam Chair. The new district, the Crossing Neighborhood District, does mimic the existing C1 district for the uses. So it doesn't change the current uses that are available right now in C1. It mimics the C1, giving it a new name.
Okay. Thank you, Amy. Does that answer your question, your concern, Rich?
Thank you for your comments. I didn't know whether I was unmuted here. But one of the things, I didn't get to read all the pages, but one of the things that caught my eye is when the building was bought in 2005, not by me, the back side of that was a warehouse. And the loading dock was below grade dock that got filled in by the owner. It seems at least possible that some use as a warehouse would be useful in the future, and it seemed like, again, I'm not well read here, but it seemed like that might have been excused from the list going forward.
Amy or Gus? They're looking through the use tables right now, Rich.
I don't need the answer right now. I just wanted to know that it's being considered, and this is my concerns. There's time for review.
No changes? All right. I think it looks like there's no change, no changes,
To
right?
you, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
there are no changes when it comes to manufacturing
Okay.
and processing.
Well, that's the industrial, I think, area. Okay, I would just, I've thought that when we were gonna redo some of this, it wasn't just gonna be a renaming. I will be honest. I think that I would like to see the setbacks at least mimic the downtown commercial
Okay.
area. And then some of the things like Councilor Frangillo mentioned, like I think we should make ADUs by right there too, just because if they don't fit, then they go in front of the ZBA anyways. And if a few people can do it, then it's only a few more people, but it's a few more things, right? I know it only has to be by right in single family, but I think we've already gone through that fight, and it's not that big an area. But I would like to see those changes, and then I just think it's really, I feel like it has to be different than what it is for us to do something. And so, but I want us, like, maybe we need to talk about it again.
Yeah.
Okay? And bring us a little bit of some of Councilor Frangilo's ideas and some of the other stuff, and we can talk a little bit more about it, because I think it should be, it should incorporate the master plan. We have passed the master plan now, right? And, which is very exciting. And there's this downtown kind of, or this neighborhood kind of thing that's there that we want to keep there. And that's what the master plan was all about. Jamie.
Were there points in the master plan specifically on this zoning idea? We will come back with a revised
I
bylaw
think
at the
there
next EDC meeting. Okay, so
I think so.
Yeah.
on this.
That was Kobe's job.
Okay, so the setbacks, we will change those to downtown commercial.
Yeah.
I think ADUs are by right anyways. I don't know what the issue is with ADUs, but I'll park that car and we'll change it, we'll review it
I
to
think
make
it's
sure they're
because
by right.
it's not in GR5, and so,
Well, they're by right, oh,
I
okay,
see.
all
no, they're
right,
not.
got it.
okay.
Is there
We'll
anything
find-
else specifically that you want? Or am I just doing exactly what Kobe just said?
Yeah.
I think we need to talk about the things that Kobe said and look at the master plan. Because I feel like the master plan is a living, breathing document that we need to follow. I mean,
That's
we
fine.
spent like 18 months or something on it. The land use and zoning people and then the housing people did an amazing job. And I think we even have the chair of the master plan committee here with us tonight, but he can't say anything, luckily. But I think he would like to see us use it too, at least. Take what we have and take what's in the master plan and come back and look at them and see, and compare them. Okay?
Sure, absolutely.
But I love this, you guys, like, this is
Right.
really exciting to me. I think that this crossing neighborhood area is gonna be amazing. So I'm really happy about it. Can you tell? Okay, all right, so I guess what we're gonna do then is we'll talk about it again.
Yep,
Next,
we'll bring it
are
to
we
the next
gonna
meeting.
bring it to the next meeting?
Yep.
Okay, we will bring it to the next meeting. Thank you so much for everything you've done so far. And does anybody have anything else to add to it, or like,
Ready to vote?
we're all good? All right, so we can take a motion to adjourn then, if we're gonna talk about this again.
Oh,
We're gonna talk about it again,
Okay.
okay? All right?
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?